Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carlton People. On today's episode, I've got a young fella, the next gen of Carlton supporters. His name is Nick Boglis, and he runs a YouTube, Facebook page called Back to the Bench TV, which we will get to in a moment. But Nick, what's happening, mate?
Yeah, not much. Obviously, it's been a bit tough during restrictions. Good to see you, though, Terry. Thanks for having me on the show. Really great to be here. And yeah, as I said, not really much, happening. Obviously, a lot of uncertainty going on around the world right now. But just trying to stay positive. And yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
That's exactly right, mate. It is what it is. Now, you and I, we met up for a coffee. I reckon it was obviously before restrictions kicked in, where you had to register yourself. You came up to me and you said you wanted to start a YouTube channel or a Facebook page and create some content. And I made a promise to you that once you got a few episodes up and running, that I'd have you on for an episode. So first of all, congratulations on making a start.
Thank you very much.
And second of all, talk to me a little bit about Back to the Bench TV. Why are you doing it? What is it? Give us some insight.
So pretty much, so I have a twin brother, as you've met as well, Adam. And I don't know, we were just talking one day, I think it was during lockdown, we were saying, we should try combine together and try start something. We think, we link well together, share ideas, combine different things, different skill sets. And, we're thinking of, let's try start, maybe a business or literally anything. And the idea came up pretty much that we want to start a Carlton podcast because we're both, Carlton fanatics, as you know, been going, every year to games non-stop. And I really guess, as we're talking through that, obviously we hit you up, we saw you abroad. You were kind enough to, send us a message back, so I appreciate that. And pretty much we just said, as we're talking through it, we're like, okay, let's maybe go AFL. We'll go to the AFL audience, try and, expand the audience a bit. Came to that, thought of the name, had a mate who's lives up the road. He's keen to, another Carlton fan, fanatic. And, pretty much just went from there. Got a few videos underway, got some confidence up, and, hopefully we can, really maintain it and we'll see what happens.
No, it's good, mate. I'm happy for you. It was a good chat. I was more than happy to meet up with you guys. And my main thing was, I just hope these guys actually go and execute. So, look, it's the first step, first of many. You got to start, and then you've got to learn.
Exactly.
So that's that. Now let's turn to Carlton, mate, because obviously lifelong supporter. You're part of a generation very much like me. I think you guys are, 9 or 10 years younger than me, but unfortunately we've experienced pretty much the same shit. So
exactly right.
Talk to me about where does the Carlton story begin for you?
So it is a complicated one. So pretty much, I have 2 older brothers. So I have a twin brother my age, and then 2 older brothers in their 30s, around your age. So a bit of an age gap. So my dad, he's a bit older. He's probably late 50s, and it's a real strange one, but it's quite a unique story. So pretty much, obviously, my dad's parents, my grandparents, they obviously came from overseas, from Europe. So came to Australia. Obviously, had no clue what AFL was. They grew up speaking a foreign language. Just a real, anyone you'd expect to not follow AFL was his family. They were complete opposite. And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know what really clicked, but it was just something that I think he went to a game, and I think from there he just fell in love with the club, and the rest is history. And that moved on to my older brothers, who are, as I mentioned, much older than me, 10 to 15 years older. And, growing up when I was a kid, they were, around my age now, and a lot of yelling at the TV at that time. Still the same situation as we are now. Probably a lot worse then though. But I've kind of adapted those mannerisms going forward in these games. Bit of colourful language, but that just comes with the passion, I guess. And that pretty much wraps up the story. It's a pretty unique one, but that's way to put a word on it.
What's your first Carlton memory? Whether it was a game that you went to or watched, when does your memory first kick in, as far back as you can think? What was it?
Well, that's a tough question. Good question though. I think it was 06. It was 07. I remember it was Bryce Gibbs' first year. It was Carlton vs Brisbane. That's the very, very, very small memory there. But another actual key memory was, I remember 2008 Family Day. I went with my older brothers and my cousin.
Yep.
They took me, met, all the guns, Fev, Betts was there, Simo, all these players, and even Juddy. And I actually remember, like these were my heroes growing up, and that was probably where it kind of, from that day onwards, it kind of, my passion for the club and the sport really grew, I guess.
I love that.
Thank you.
I've interviewed Ethan, who's similar age to you. I love hearing the stories of you guys and your first memories and your first heroes and yeah. So given your experience, what's your favorite memory so far? I know we're very young and we don't have a lot of great ones, but what is your favorite experience so far?
Well, I guess there is a couple. I guess it's really hard to go past because obviously during my time growing up, Carlton hasn't been in its most successful phase. We can all agree on that one. But because of that, I think it's hard to go past that 2013 elimination final against the Tigers. Obviously, a crazy week before beating the Port Power over at Amy Park. I think it was their last game at Amy. All out game. Obviously the saga with the Essendon drugs that obviously unfolded. Coming back from about a 37-point margin, I think it was, to win by a point, and then to play the week after at the G against the Tigers. I remember going to that game. It was pretty much 9th against 5th, I think. So it was a funny story, and we ended up winning. It's hard to go past that one. And one more other memory. This is quite a unique one, but do you remember, I think it was 2012, 2013, I think we beat North Melbourne by a point. Do you remember that game?
I do.
Yeah. I remember a high-scoring game. I just remember heart in my mouth all game. I was just a kid. Obviously, heart attack stuff, but when that sign went, one of the happiest feelings ever. But yeah, those two are probably the ones up there.
Yep. No, I like it. So we're in 2020, obviously. We're halfway through the season at the time of making this video.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about what is your feeling overall about the club? Where are we at? And what are you feeling about it?
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to summarize, exactly. But obviously, I don't want to say, because obviously us Carlton fans are very hopeful every season. But I'm not going to lie, this is probably, so I had to put a word in there, probably the most promising season since this Bolton era. Honestly, because previous years, obviously, with Bolton, blooded the kids, took that sacrifice. Then with that sacrifice, it comes a cost. And I was losing a lot of games. I think we lost, 20 games in one season, ridiculous amount. Playing very unexperienced players, and I think now these players are starting to get more games into them. We're bringing in more experienced Betts, Martin, Jack Nunes, and I really think, this season, I think there's kind of a mold building, and I'm more hopeful than I was beforehand, 100%. So I do think it's easy to say now, but I do think we're heading the right way, even though that poor loss on Friday by Hawthorn. But yeah, I'm hopeful.
So the overall, you're positive about where we're getting.
Yeah.
Confident that there's something happening now, and we're not just, but we're actually going somewhere.
Well, yeah. Well, if we base it off that Bulldogs game and the Geelong game, probably the best footy we played in the past 5 years, easy, without a doubt. So if we're seeing that from a team that's finished down the bottom the last few years, then there's obviously only ways up. So I really think even the ladder tells it. Been 12th for how long? We finished 8th. Win 8 2-3 weeks ago. So there's obviously something brewing there.
Yeah. No, I love it. Talk to me about some of because it's interesting for me. I'm getting to a point in my life now where for the first time I've watched, I'm watching careers from start to finish. Mm-hmm. So like I remember my memory kicks in from pretty much when Murphy got drafted. Mm-hmm. So for example, like Dale Thomas, I can now definitely remember every moment from the start to the end of his career, and it's sort of, that's the first time that's ever happened in my life. So with you mentioned some of the heroes you first remember. Who of this group, because you've got your memory now, who is your favorite players, your boys, whether they're popular or maybe someone who's a bit of a underrated gem? Who are those players for you?
So in the current squad right now, or just in all time?
Yeah. In this squad.
Yeah, good question. It's hard to, obviously, Murphy's one hard to go past by, because obviously like you've grown up with him playing for the club. You know, he's been there since day one. I think he's been there for 15 years now. Captain the club. Simo, he's been there since day one. Those guys, you know, Cruiser, Ed Kerno, Kaz Bolt. Who else is there? Even Eddie Betts, you know, you grew up, you know, watching him, your favourite player. You know, everyone loved Eddie as a kid, and now he's back at his club. You know, those kind of players. It will be very, very emotional when they do eventually hang up the boots because, you know, you've pretty much supported the whole time you've been supporting Carlton. I know for me, you know, Murphy or Simo or Cruz has been playing, so I guess that's their key factors. But it's probably Simo's the one for me. Yeah. Obviously, you know, coming from a really light frame, you know, one of the most courageous players I've watched in my time. The way he puts his body on the line for a bloke who's, you know, 75, 80 odd kilos, you know, he's probably less, 70 kilos. It's really inspirational the way he goes about it, and especially at this age right now, 36 years old, the way he smothered that ball against Bulldogs on the line, game was absolutely shot, and he still did that for the team. Obviously, speaks volumes about him as not only as a player but as a person, and yeah, he's probably one to really make mention of.
What about some of the guys who, whether they've played, let's say the real young ones, who are some of the standouts for you who you sort of, when you're talking about it with your mates, you sort of say, oh, this kid's going to be a gun one day, you watch. Who's that for you?
Yeah, well, this is actually a funny one because no one agreed with me. And look, we're not saying he's an absolute star right now. He does his role, but David Cunningham I really liked when I was younger because I remember I went to one of the finals. I think it was Oakley Chargers or someone in the year the year he got drafted. And I watched this guy. I'm like, gee, he's quick. He's good. And I remember we picked him up on draft day, and everyone was saying, "Oh, David Cunningham, you know, he won't be, you know, anything special." But you know, that Essendon game came past, and then you know that goal against North that pretty much arguably won us the game. He's really, you know, stepped up, and I just think, you know, I think he got Rising Star a few years ago, so he's obviously proven that he can play. Just, you know, previous years he hasn't got a consistent run at it. He's been unlucky with injuries. We can all say that. So I think this year's his first year where he's consistently got that shot, and I think he's really making the most of it. And he doesn't have to be a star. If he can play his role and, you know, play that half-forward pressure role, then that's all you can really ask for. So, yeah, he's probably that young player that's really stepped up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. Let's look a little bit ahead now. So yeah. I'm going to make you the list manager of the club. I'm going to give you all the money in the world that you want. We don't have a salary cap. Who is one player from another club that you would put into this Carlton team to just finish the, you know, who's the missing piece?
If we have a big fish, it has to be like, I can't go past Josh Kelly, honestly. Like, I remember a few years ago, I don't know if it was true or not, but there were rumours that, you know, that we're going for him. He was on Silvani's targets, former Giants player still now. I just, like, we're really, you know, obviously Cripps is that inside man. We'd really love a guy on the outside to provide us that run. And I really think Josh Kelly would really be that missing piece. But did you want me to go into an underrated player I think would be a little smoky, who I think we could go for?
Go for it.
So I reckon Shai Bolden from the Tigers. And no one really, you know, not many people know him. But I watched him play, and I reckon, you know, because Richmond's got a lot of those types, Rioli, Higgins, other guys, Stack, a lot of those similar players. I think he's one to go for in the off season because, you know, he wants to seek more opportunities elsewhere. But if you're talking about big fish, Josh Kelly for me, yeah, 100%.
All right, I love it. No, I like that. I like that a lot. He'd be a handy player for us.
Yeah.
So last question. We're going to lift up this premiership at some point. I don't know when. I want you to tell me what year is it going to be, because obviously we'll look back on these videos as a memory, and you know, we'll see how right or wrong all of us were. So for you, on the path that we're on, which year are we lifting up premiership number 17?
It's extremely hard to put a time frame on it. Obviously, you can't just pick out a year and say, yeah, no worries, win the flag that year. But I think we'll just be semi-finals this year, if I'm being realistic. Next year, I reckon we will sneak in. So I think between 2022, 2023, that would, if there had to be a time frame, that would be it. I think that's the time frame right there. But having said that, we've got to obviously make finals first. Obviously, we're tough, as we speak right now. So we got to walk before we run. We got to get to 8th, then 5th, then 3rd, before we can talk premierships. But yeah, that's probably the year.
There's a few steps, isn't there? It's almost like, there's some teams that just come out of nowhere and do it. It doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
But you sort of almost got to get to finals, and then you got to like lose finals, and then you got to like learn from those lost finals, and then you got to make a prelim, and then you got to lose a prelim mostly, and then you make a granny, and then it's there's so many steps to the process, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah. I think you just got to feel that heartache. End of the day, we've seen with previous teams. Obviously, like teams like Richmond. I think they finished 5th or 6th. Losing to a team that finished 9th in us. And then they lose to, they lost to North a few years later. So obviously, they've had their heartache in finals, and they've experienced that. Oh crap! How can we not beat this team? We're going as favourites. We had such a great season, and then what happened a few years later? We're getting flagged. So I think it's just even Bulldogs too. How many years of the prelims they lost, and then for them to come out and win the flag. Well, that was probably the most historical moments in AFL. So, yeah, I think we gotta have that. You got to lose before you win. That's the way I see it.
Yep, it's part of life. Awesome, mate. Well, it's been great. Thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate it. And for those at home who want to check out your work, where can we find Back to the Bench TV?
So Back to the Bench TV, that is on. So it's on YouTube. Facebook is our main platform, and also Instagram, and even Spotify has just come out now. And just quickly before I add, so obviously it's Back to the Bench TV. You easily find it. I just want to say, obviously, there's been, tough, uncertain times, unprecedented times right now. A lot of people are kind of upset with what's been going on. If you had to put a word on it. And, if you want to have a bit of laughs and a bit of a giggle, then also check out our Warwick Kappa interview. That's up there. So if you want a bit of a smile on your face, then go check that out. But, having said that, Back to the Bench TV is where it's at. So hopefully you can tune in. And, thanks to you, Terry, for having me on, on the show. And I really appreciate it. And hopefully the boys can get a win this week.
Absolutely, mate. Look forward to having a beer with you next time at a game, not a coffee. And, we'll go from there, mate. Have a good one.
Too easy. Thank you very much, Terry. You too.
See you, mate.